So as we move into answering some questions that some of our early career researchers have asked, we hear about a lot of different techniques being used by these different observatories to monitor volcanoes. So what kind of jobs would you say exist in your different observatories, and are there opportunities for persons who don't have PhDs or are not pursuing PhDs? All of you have PhDs, but are there jobs for persons in technical fields? So tell us a bit about the skill sets that are employed at your observatory and what it takes to get a job. Maybe we could switch it up a bit and start with Annalisa. You want to take a first swing at it?
Okay. In my observatory, there are essential 4 kinds of jobs: technical, research, technologists, and the administrative staff. So for technicians, I think it is not necessary to have a PhD, even an academic degree. I think it's enough an high school diploma. And for the administrative staff, I think it depends on the level he belong. And for researchers and technologists, I think most of us has the PhD. There are periodic public competitions for all these kind of positions, and each call specify what kind of what is the access title and the specific skills that are required for the position. So they are often open to everyone, not only to Italian, but for everyone who has the same title, or maybe the title which is comparable to the Italian one. I think it's enough to present a declaration, a certificate that compares the foreign title with the Italian title. Yes.
Okay, Charles.
Here in Goma, we also have the same kind of position, or almost. So here you could be enrolled as a technician, as a researcher, or or as an administrative employer, or you could also be in the communication and hazards, about hazards and risk, but this is part of the administrative guys. And for researchers, you could start without having a PhD, like it was my case. When I started here the observatory about 11 years ago, I had only a master's in chemistry, and then I had the opportunity to win some scholarships, and went to Belgium for a master's in environmental geochemistry, then went to Italy for a PhD in fluid geochemistry at the University of Naples, and in collaboration with INGV Palermo, and also had the opportunity to attend some trainings like in Hawaii and somewhere else like in Germany and so on. So if you have a position without a PhD, this is not a permanent position. You have say up to 6 years to gain a PhD, and if you don't get it, you will lose your position. But once you have a PhD, of course you have a permanent position. If you start with a PhD, there you will have to work for nine months. After those 9 months, then there's a group of experienced researchers that will evaluate your work and decide whether they have to keep you or not. And, you know, for other positions, it's almost the same like for those who do not hold the, you know, a PhD. For instance, it said for those guys, they have to be above 20 years old and below 35. So there are some rules about, you know, a kind of law that applies to all research centers. So yes, there are positions for those holding high degree, diplomas, you know, and PhD, and there are positions for people who hold only, you know, secondary diplomas.
That's good to know. So I'm sure many people want to come over to the Caribbean. TC, what does it take to work at the MBO?
Well, we don't have any permanent positions available. Our current configuration is 6 scientific staff, 4 of which are volcanologists. There's a volcano seismologist and a director who can be of any profession. At present, our current director is a volcanologist with a physics background. We've got 2 positions for scientific assistants, and basically what they do is they collect data and process data under the supervision of the scientists which they work under. We've got a technical team. We've got people who work in admin. But what the MBA does, we offer 6-month internships for students who have just maybe finished their undergrads or at the master's level. And I think 1 or 2 times we've had people who've actually got master's projects out of doing work here. Right. So there are times when we'll get requests from a university, from academic at the university on behalf of a student, you know, proposing, you know, using some of the data that we've got to do maybe something fancy because a new technique would have emerged, one which has never been applied to the data that we've got here. And the individual scientist who's responsible for that data set, you know, would have a say in whether or not he thinks it's a good idea. They might end up actually being a co-supervisor in that project as well. So there is a possibility to be an intern here for at least 6 months. I think it's paid, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, so the point is we've got the better part of 25 years worth of data collected here. So there are quite a few small projects that can be done using the data that we've got here. So it's just for individuals to have an idea of what is it they want to do. And if we think it's a good idea, then we'll try and make it happen.
Awesome. Sara, what is the setup in Iceland like?
Yeah, so similar under some perspectives. As I was saying, somehow it reflects the departments through which we work here at the IMO. So again, there is the research department, so it is mainly researchers, and I think most of them they have a PhD, but this is not a requirement. I mean that's true. There is then the IT group that it is exchanging so quickly, but we need so much IT people here because again, it is all often a matter of, you know, data streaming, automatic processing, scripting, and all that. And often they are just from they only have a master's degree or a high school degree. Then there is the department that takes care of the instrumentation and the installation, so the observation group. And even there, I don't think PhD is really a requirement. And indeed, I think this is one of the coolest places where to work. I think the administrative is always there, but maybe it is kind of boring. But here in the monitoring department, we get a lot of people with maybe just the master and maybe they are still students. And it is cool because they are learning a lot while they are working in the monitoring room. Of course, it is not so attractive for everybody, as of course the language then is an important barrier. So whoever is on duty should be capable to talk in Icelandic with whoever is calling, you know, at the phone. And so that's something that of course is putting a kind of constraint on the access to this position. But similarly to I think Montserrat, however we got a lot of students that are working with us for both thesis, master thesis and PhD thesis. And that's because we work a lot, as I was saying, with the university. So, and I think it's a nice way to step in to see how the environment here it is. We really don't have programs for students to come here. It is something that we always got at a certain point of the year, a lot of application of curriculum of people that want to, you know, present themselves. It is really, really hard for us to follow them. But it is true that we had students for internship. So they were just having their PhD in another country, but in order to fulfill their requirements for the PhD or for the thesis, whatever, they were supposed to spend some months abroad, and they came here. So still we found, you know, small projects that were, you know, along their study, and that this has been possible. Maybe it is important maybe to make a point. I don't know if we are comparable through this for volcano observatories, but the human resources is a key point. So often we have a lot of tasks already on a daily basis, and we are not so many in doing them. So then, of course, the time that remains to take care of possible students or extra people coming, that's something that it is often challenging. So, but one thing, often the position, not often, sometimes the position here, they are open internationally, mainly if they are for collaboration through PhD on projects, they are always an international call. But if they are positioned like, again, working in the department where I am, then it is happen that the position is just advertised in Iceland. And that's mainly when, again, the language constraint is something that has an important relevance for the position.
Okay, so actually most of you panelists answered the next question I was about to ask, whether or not there were internship or other opportunities for persons to get their foot in the door. And I gather that these do exist. So I'm figuring the best way to avail yourself of one of these is to get in touch with persons and probably, in the case of Montserrat or otherwise, suggest a project and you know, take it from there. So we just have a